Buongiorno friends, this is Ray and welcome back to the Port of Indecision channel. We just got back from a 23-day adventure we're calling the Best of Italy and Croatia. We spent 3 days in Venice before taking a train down to Ravenna to board the Celebrity Constellation. Our first port of call was Trieste, followed by Zadar. Then we went to Brindisi, Italy, crossing the Adriatic Sea. We then came back across the Adriatic Sea to Kotar, then to Split, Croatia. We toured the walls of Dubrovnik, and then after touring Dubrovnik, we had a day at sea as we sailed around the boot of Italy, and we went between Italy and Sicily, and we headed to the Amalfi Coast where we docked in Salerno and then went to see the Pompeii ruins. The next day we sailed back up to Civitavecchia where we got a train and went into Rome and spent a day touring there before we traveled up by train to Florence and then down to Siena, and then we spent a day in the Tuscan wine country before heading back along the coast, and we stopped in San Gimignano and then took a train to Cinque Terre, spent 3 days there, and then finished up our trip in Milan and Lake Como. In today's episode, we'll be highlighting our 3 days in beautiful Venice, Italy. We'll tour the Grand Canal on a vaporetto. We'll visit the market and learn how to make pasta in a cooking class, and also visit the Frari church and see Venice at sunset from the top of the Campanile. If this is your first time visiting the channel, click on that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our adventures. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and leave me a comment. Now, as they say in Italy, andiamo, or let's go.
We sailed from the port of Indecision.
We flew direct from Atlanta, and it was a 10-hour flight, and as we made our final approach into Marco Polo Airport, we were excited to have our first water taxi ride in front of us. And after you clear customs and get your baggage, you'll make a left-hand turn and go down a long hallway, and then it's about another 10-minute walk down to the water taxi. Within a few minutes, we were in our water taxi, headed to the Grand Canal and also our hotel. We had pre-arranged the taxi with Hotel Moresco, and this was door-to-door service from the airport right to our hotel. And traveling with us are our friends Janet and Jim. We're just approaching Venice right now. Woo!
Ooh, that was a low one.
Yes, there are traffic jams even on the Grand Canal in Venice. We actually had to go in reverse to make way for this gondola going across the Grand Canal. We're now passing a Vaporetto stop, and later in the video we will be taking one of these Vaporettos and doing a tour down the Grand Canal. Taking the water taxi from the airport to our hotel, the Hotel Moresco, was very convenient, and it was a great experience going down the Grand Canal in a smaller water taxi versus the Vaporettos that we took later in the week. The good news was our rooms were ready, so we were able to drop off our luggage. I'll do a separate video touring the Hotel Moresco, but we are off to our first event of the day, headed through the streets of Venice to the Frari Church. From the moment you arrive in Venice, there's so much to take in. It's really overwhelming to all the senses, the sights, the smells, the sounds, and you never know what you're going to stumble upon walking through Venice.
So we've successfully navigated to our first stop is the Frari Church, and nice cool afternoon. We're going to go in and do the tour now, but we didn't get lost between all the alleys.
As we entered the Frari Church, there was a sign, no video recording, but I was able to capture this and a few pictures, and I highly recommend a visit to the Frari and use the Rick Steves audio tour guide, and you'll thoroughly enjoy your visit. After we finished our tour of the beautiful Frari Church, we decided we were going to head on over and try and find the Rialto Bridge, since we were planning to meet there at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to start our cooking class at the Venice market.
Tarantella Venezia.
You find it?
Hello. Tarantella Venezia.
Hold on.
Buonasera Venezia.
And after Jim finished with his new friend the accordion player, we continued our walk to the Rialto Bridge, but it started raining, and now we were looking for shelter and a place to eat. With the rain coming down a little harder, we ducked into Trattoria San Polo and grabbed a beer and our first Italian meal since getting to Venice. Nothing ends a great day like a great meal. The food was fantastic. But we had a day full of travel and sightseeing, And now I was going to head back to the hotel to get a good night's rest for day 2 in Venice.
It's day 2 in Venice. We're going to be doing a cooking class today, a tour down the Grand Canal, and finishing up in Mark Square with dinner and hiking to the top of Campanella. Let me catch some. Let me catch some.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Right with the camera. Yeah, that's a giveaway too. Thank you.
Here we are on one of the canals in Venice, waiting for some tourists to come. Oh look, some American tourists. And the Rialto Bridge should be to our left. Well, we just traversed through Venice, through lots of alleys and back roads. From Hotel Moresco, we made it to the Grand Canal, and we're getting ready to come up on the Rialto Bridge. Well, yeah. Good morning, buongiorno. We are in day 2 in Venice, and today I'm at the Rialto Bridge. We're going to be doing a tour through the Rialto Market, going to do a cooking class, and then after that, going to be taking a Vaporetto tour down the Grand Canal, finishing up in St. Mark's Square, and then we'll be hiking to the top of the St. Mark's Campanile. Hey guys! Yeah, it's really opening up. That's beautiful.
Well, we got to the Rialto Bridge on time this morning before the crowds hit and got beautiful pictures, and it was a lovely day. The sun was shining, and now it's time to go to our meeting point where we'll be going to the fish and meat markets here in Venice, picking out some things for our cooking class, and then we'll be off to prepare a meal.
Adriatic Sea is the North Italy.
Here we are in the Venice fish market. The building we're in is over 1,000 years old, and the selection of fish is incredible. There's lobster, crabs, squid, octopus, everything you can imagine is here in the Venice fish market. Look at those lobsters.
Yeah, what is that?
Scorfano. Scorfano.
We're shopping.
Look at these. Look at this stuff.
They're long strips.
Well, we wrapped up our shopping at the Venice market, and now we're going to take a walk back to the kitchen to prepare the meal and see interesting shops along the way, like this shop that sells nothing but pasta.
Thank you.
Questa buona.
Well, it was a bit of a hike from the market back to the kitchen where we're going to prepare the meal and do the cooking class, but it was very interesting to see all the architecture and the interesting people, and it was such a beautiful day for a walk. We did the cooking class with VeniceCookingSchool.it, and you can see the link here, their Instagram page, and the QR code. Well, it's finally time to drink some wine and start the cooking class. Our cooking guide presented the beautiful sea bass that she had selected, and we went straight into making our pasta dough and kneading it. And after we had the pasta set and we were resting it, we went straight into preparing our tiramisu. In today's episode, we're cooking with Jim. He'll be making tiramisu. Well, Jim Wardo won't fit on that bowl. What did she call you? James. And some pepper. Now we're going to do a little garlic.
Don't choke.
I know. I don't want to cut my finger. That would be a ruining.
On 7. And then. And you have to push hard or it doesn't
Who was
go all
not
the way
watching?
through.
Me.
All of us.
You can wine.
I'm failing.
We're to see a noodle.
Well, the cooking class was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed doing the work with a good group of folks, and now we get to enjoy all of our hard work, and the meal was fantastic. We are now off to our next adventure, which will introduce Venice to us by boat. We'll be taking the Vaporetto line number 1 from Ferrovia train station stop all the way down to St. Mark's Square.
Who's you following us?
I wonder what that is.
Looks like a museum. Now we're headed to catch the Vaporetto number 1, and we're going to go down the Grand Canal and do a Grand Canal tour. It's a beautiful day here in Venice.
We entered the queue on the floating dock and waited for Vaporetto line number 1. It didn't take long, and we were able to secure seats in the front of the boat because it was the middle of the afternoon and cruise passengers and people from the train station were basically non-existent, which was lucky for us. The Grand Canal is Venice's main street. It's more than 2 miles long, 150 feet wide, and nearly 15 feet deep. It's the city's largest canal, and it's lined with impressive palaces. It's the remnant of a river that once spilled from the mainland into the Adriatic Sea. The sediment was carried and formed barrier islands that cut off Venice from the sea and formed a lagoon. Venice is a city of palaces. Dating from the days it was the world's richest city, the most lavish palaces formed the grand architectural can-can along this Grand Canal. The buildings used to be frescoed in red and blues with black and white borders and gold leaf trim, which made Venice a city of dazzling color.
Hey friends, this is Ray again, and we are on the Vaporetto line number 1, and we're headed down to St. Mark's listening to the Rick Steves Grand Canal Tour. So that's it right there. That's it? Yeah. That's it, yeah.
The building coming up on the right is the Turkish Exchange, or Fondaco dei Turchi. It's one of the oldest houses in Venice. Its horseshoe arches and roofline of triangles and dingle balls are reminders of the Byzantine heritage. Turkish traders in turbans docked here, unloaded their goods into the warehouse on the bottom story, and then went upstairs for a home-style meal and a place to sleep. This was Venice in the 1500s. 100 yards left of the Turkish Exchange is Venice's casino. In the 1700s, Venice was like Europe's Las Vegas. Most, if not all, buildings in Venice were constructed of simple brick structures with plaster facades, and most buildings would only have a facade on the front. The building on the right, Ca' Pesaro, was one of the only palaces in Venice that had a facade on the front and the 2 sides. On the right side is where our day began, with the arcade building of the open-air fish market and produce market. If you look to the left, you'll see one of the 3 Traghetto crossings on the Grand Canal. A Traghetto crossing is where a gondolier does a public service and will shuttle people across the Grand Canal for €2. So it's the cheapest gondola ride in Venice, and you can do it to go from one side over to the public market and back. You may be wondering what would happen if there was a fire in Venice. Well, if you see the arrow, there's 4 doors there that are equipped with fire boats that would come to the rescue of any burning building. As we wrap up our Vaporetto tour of the Grand Canal, we'll be disembarking at St. Mark's Square. Venice was once the richest city in Europe, and Piazza San Marco, or St. Mark's Square, was at the center of it all. Today, it's still the main attraction for tourists coming to visit Venice. They come to see the Bridge of Sighs, Doge's Palace, St. Mark's Basilica, the Clock Tower, the Campanile, and the actual piazza itself. From our vantage point on the water, you can see all the top attractions in Piazza San Marco, but you'll also notice the sea of people that will be walking through here shortly. It's the top tourist spot in Venice, Italy. As soon as you exit the dock, you know you're in the heart of tourism town, as all of the vendors are out hawking their goods. Venice has been a tourist center for more than 4 centuries, so it's a good chance that some of the people that you've read about in your history books have looked and stood in the same spot you are and leaned on the same rail. If not the top tourist spot, the Bridge of Sighs, or Prison's Bridge, is one that most people get a picture by. This is where the government handed out justice in Doge's Palace on the left, and prisoners had to cross the Bridge of Sighs to be incarcerated in a prison on the right.
There they are.
And now it's time to head up into St. Mark's Campanile. At 323 feet, it's the tallest structure in Venice, and for €10, you get these magnificent views of this magical city. And as soon as the sun goes down, Venice at night, a whole different city, a whole different experience. As the day turned into night, we decided to start our trek back to the Hotel Moresco, and little did we know that Venice had a rodeo drive.
These are some high-end shops. Look, Louis Vuitton, Bulgari, Jimmy Choo, Prada, Versace. I know I'm going to pronounce some of these wrong. Valentino. And on the other side of the bridge is Ferragamo. Have a good ride.
What an amazing day we had in Venice. Now it's time to head back to the hotel for a late dinner, and in tomorrow's Venice adventure, we will be touring the Doge's Palace and doing the Rick Steves Piazza San Marco walking tour. In the afternoon, we'll be meeting up with our friends Pam and Jack and Sherry and Jeff to share another wonderful day in Venice, the Queen of the Adriatic.